Hi everyone, welcome back to Inktober Day 4. The prompt today is underwater, and I have decided to do some sort of an underwater city. So this is my first try at ever doing something like this. We'll see how it comes out. Right now I'm just putting in some lines for buildings and such because I have trouble drawing a straight line, so I'm just using a ruler here. And I line it up with my thumb against the bottom of the page, and that way I know they're always parallel to each other. I also used a jar lid to make circles of different sizes, and those are my bubbles for my cities. And I'm going to go ahead and ink everything in with my Tachikawa dip pen with a G nib. Here I am just putting in the bridges that are crossing between these buildings, this city, so that the people can walk through to the other side. I had a lot of fun with this, just thinking with my imagination, which I don't do a whole lot because that's not the type of art that I normally do. So this is kind of fun, doing something more illustrative and simple but imaginative. So I really had a good time with it. And I'm just going to continue putting all these windows in. Here I'm going to go ahead and put in the rocks and underwater features that I'm adding into this. I'll be putting in plant life, as you see, and rock formations, fish, all sorts of stuff. I've decided to grab my pencil again just to draw a few fish and get used to how they look and the fins and things that I need to put on them before I do that in pen. The music today is by Kevin MacLeod called Floating Cities, and you can find that at incompetech.com. One thing with ink is, especially with dip pens, is that your nibs are not always super dependable, and I think my nib got bent or something because at this point I'm getting blobs of ink on my paper. But instead of switching nibs, I just continue to go on and screw it up more and more. Also, I tend to slide my hand over the wet ink, so I'm going to be using my dryer a lot throughout to try to save it. You have to be really careful using ink, especially permanent ink, that you're not sliding your hand over it before it's dry. That's why I usually work from right to left, but in some areas I stop doing that, and of course I mess it up. Now I'm working with my Daniel Smith watercolors and just putting in some different colors for the water. I'm using, I believe, ultramarine turquoise near the top, and then I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue and ultramarine violet for the water below, and I'm kind of mixing those together as I go. I'm trying to kind of blend them all together so that the water doesn't all look like the same color. And I'm also working today with my number 6 Billy Showell round brush. This brush comes to a fine point. It's a botanical type of a brush, so it is great for fine work and has a nice wide belly, so it holds a lot of pigment because it's a larger brush that comes to a long fine point. So I can use it for washes, I can use it for fine work, for a lot of this negative painting that I'm doing. It's also a Kolinsky sable. in case you're wondering whether it's synthetic or real hair. Now here I've been using some burnt sienna, quinacridone sienna, and then some ultramarine blue to mix those grays on the rock on the side, and doing the same but only with different proportions on those, I don't know what they're called, stalactites or whatever that go up like that. And again, around the other rocks, I do the same just to give them some rocky look. Going into the city buildings, I'm using colors that I used in the water mixed with either Payne's gray or neutral tint in order to deepen and make them more of a gray color. But I wanted to pick up the color of the water in the buildings so it would look more natural. This was very tedious, going around each one of those windows and negatively painting the building so that I could keep those windows clean for either light or dark, which later isn't going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference because I want to go over these bubbles with the film to make them look like they're kind of fogged out or whatever, so that you can tell that they're floating bubbles. Now I'm going to go in with Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolor in white and realize that is not the way I want to go. Also underneath, I did use staining pigments. All of them are staining except the sap green is slightly less staining, so I did get some smearing there. It is a staining color, but it does lift fairly well. You just can't get it all up. But I don't like the way the white looks. And then I go over it with this black pen, and the nib is starting to wear out, and I'm getting a lot of bleeding, so I'm very unhappy with the way this looks. I'm going to go over it with a Jelly Roll pen in blue silver shadow, which is a really nice pen to use, and that helped to tone that down quite a bit. Now I've decided to go over the bubbles again with Daniel Smith's Durachrome turquoise, which is an iridescent color. So in person it looks really cool the way the iridescence looks. When you shift the page, it really changes it. I did feel that I needed to go over the buildings a little bit to make them show up a little bit better though, although my pen bled and I'm really bummed about that. If you're interested in Jelly Roll pens at all, I've had these for about 5 years. I think I got them on Amazon. They're a set of 64. They all store horizontally, which is nice for the pens. And they come with a color chart that's on the inside flap that you color in yourself. And they're separated: metallic, fine point, metallic, medium classics, moonlight, stardust, and silver and gold shadow. So I put them all away by, you can tell by their cap what they are. Like that one's gold, it's a gold shadow. This one's silver, it's a silver shadow. So I put those over there. This is another gold shadow pen. This is a white, probably medium classic, so it would go here, but I don't have a lot of space for them, so I put them over there with some of my glitter pens. And they're great to have. I really have gotten a lot of use out of these pens over the years, so if you're interested in them, just check them out on Amazon. I don't think they cost a whole heck of a lot. I don't remember paying a ton of money for them. So, oh, and then you also have this on the outside: medium classic, moonlight, stardust, shadows. So anyway, that was all I wanted. Okay, so that's it for Inktober Day 4. Everybody have a great Inktober Day. And remember, be courageous, sketch and paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Love you guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.